talk for a moment about unified government structures in Kentucky. And basically, under Kentucky law, how do you get to a unified government today? By state law, there are three forms that you can use. The first is what's called the urban county government. Second is the consolidated local government. The third is the unified local government. And let me talk about each of them. Urban county government was created by statute, and it enabled the old city of Lexington and Fayette County to basically merge into one urban county unit. It became a new unit of government, and it encompasses all of the old Fayette County jurisdictional area. All pre-existing government jurisdictions were merged into one, and it's the purest form of unified government. It creates one of everything. Consolidated local government is the model that was used in Louisville, also created by statute. And in this case, what it did, it allowed unincorporated areas of Jefferson County to merge with the pre-existing first-class city of Louisville. And in order for that to work down here, that law would have to be amended because, of course, Louisville is the only first-class city in the state. There is no first-class city in Hardin County. It did allow non-participating cities to remain intact. Cities like St. Matthews, Jeffersontown, Shively were pre-existing and still are pre-existing. They elected not to participate. The net result was a partial unification of the jurisdictions and services in Louisville. The third path, which is the one that we think is of most interest here, is unified local government. This is a relatively new statute that was passed in 2006 by the General Assembly. It was passed with the support and encouragement of the legislative delegations from Davis County and from Kenton County. And essentially what it does is it allows a new unified government to emerge through the merger of the county and any city in that county that wishes to participate. And once that occurs, it assumes the classification of the highest class level of any of the participating cities. So it's just like the Louisville model. It does not require a pre-existing first-class city. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The case studies that we conducted, we took a look at 5 communities that have been through the unification process or metro government. Athens, Clark County, Georgia, Augusta, Richmond County, Columbus, Georgia, Lexington, and Louisville. What I want to do, in the interest of time, I'm going to spend a few moments on Athens and Clark County because I think there are a lot of things that we can learn from that area. And take a minute or two on Columbus, and then if you want information on the other 3 cities, again, I'd encourage you to visit the website. But Athens and Clark I'm going to spend a little time on. Athens and Clark County, Georgia, very similar to Hardin County in population. Today they have 115,000 as compared to Hardin County with 105,000. They merged in 1990. The economic driver in Athens, of course, is the University of Georgia. And there were 2 issues that drove merger in that community. First of all was a long-standing dispute between the city and the county residents in terms of what they paid for water. The city of Athens operated the water system, and they charged city residents a lower rate than they did for the county residents that bought the very same water. And that didn't go over too well. County residents thought they were getting the short end of the stick. Conversely, the people that lived within the city of Athens felt that they were getting little in return for their county taxes. So you had a group here that was unhappy, you had a group here that was unhappy, and because of that, they held 4 referendums on the issue of merger. And the first one was in 1969, which passed in the city, was defeated in the county. Second time, a little closer, they lost by 538 votes. In 1982, it only lost by 4 votes. That's pretty close. I think I would have asked for a recount. But anyway, in 1990, they brought it up again, and they did pass it with 59% of the vote. Every time they did this, they had to create a new charter to submit to the voters. And the charters were essentially the same. They created a general services district, which was primarily the outlying areas of Clark County that didn't require some of the enhanced government services that you'd need in the city. And then they created an urban services district, which was primarily the old city of Athens, where they had enhanced police, enhanced fire protection, street lighting, things of that nature. They agreed all residents would pay the same for water, they would equalize the water rates, and they would not reduce the number of public workers as a result of merger. The key selling points: increase government efficiency and eliminate duplication of government services. So they went through 3 referendums, unsuccessful, and then by 1990, several things happened in the community. The city-county dispute continued on the water and the taxes. Secondly, the city, which ran the Little League program, decided they were going to charge county residents more to participate in the Little League program. And that got the dander of all the Little League parents pretty riled up, and it was not a real pretty sight, I was told. And the Little League parents said, we're going to throw all the politicians out if they don't straighten this out, which they did. Compromise was reached. So about that time, the county government decided that it wanted to build a new convention center, a new library, and renovate an old theater. So in order to fund that, they decided to go towards the development of what's called in Georgia a special purpose local option sales tax. And in order to get that, that had to be submitted to the voters for approval. And so a task force was put together, they made the pitch, and it passed by 70% of the vote. And the people that were on that task force realized how important it was to have a unified voice to get that done, and it passed by a pretty wide margin. Also at that time, a multi-county quality growth task force was put together of Clark County and the surrounding counties, and the intent was to take a regional look at orderly growth and to plan for orderly growth. And what they were hoping to do back in 1990 was to avoid some of the growth problems, the sprawl that was occurring in Gwinnett County outside of Atlanta, which was about an hour and a half away. They did not want that to happen where they were. And so they put into plan a lot of things for the growth. And again, the Clark County participants realized that unified government would bring better planning and coordination to the community as opposed to having 2 or 3 different voices saying this and this and this. Put it all under one and have a unified approach. So they went after the referendum one more time. They put their charter commission together. They held 9 public hearings plus a 2-day work session, drafted their charter, and they agreed that they would cap spending for new government in year 1 at the combined rate of the previous city and county budgets. Secondly, they guaranteed that there would be no loss of representation for the African American community. And then third, they agreed to create a new Department of Human and Economic Development to address some of the needs of the lower income citizens and neighborhoods. The messaging was pretty straightforward, that a new unified police department would bring better public safety. Secondly, a unified government would control costs. Third, single government would be more effective in attracting new business, creating new jobs. Fourth, elimination of the duplication of services. And then last, eliminate for all the differences between city and county governments. So what happened? They voted it in, and they created a new Athens-Clarke County Commission. And this was one of the big changes that occurred. Previously, city council and the county commission members were elected on an at-large basis. They went to 8 districts on a specific geographic district basis, and then they created 2 what they call super districts that are at large. And if you are a person you want to run for one of the super districts, say District 9, the requirement is that you must live in either districts 1, 2, 3, or 4. And if you want to run in District 10, then you have to live either in Districts 5, 6, 7, or 8. So it eliminates stacking and makes sure that there's equal representation. The net result is that every citizen in Athens and Clarke County basically votes for 3 direct representatives: the mayor, their geographic district-specific representative, and then the super district representative. So they have 3 people at City Hall that they can call on. Another thing that's happened with merger, they've been able to control their costs. They've been able to control the rate of growth of government. And in this case, the way they measure it down there is the number of workers per 1,000 population. And this chart goes back to fiscal year 2002, when they averaged 13.6 workers per 1,000. And by 2011, that number is still 13.6. And that's adjusted for population growth. So really, there's been virtually no growth in the public employment sector. They've been able to control that and manage it. Finally, the results, and this comes straight from the city manager that I met with. Unification is the best decision ever made in that community. Since consolidation, government has been more effective. It's been more responsive to the people. It won't necessarily save money, but it will help to mitigate the cost increases that government faces. Very important. He said that there's no question that unification has improved the community's standing in Atlanta and in Washington, D.C. And then finally, he said, as they transitioned from the Athens government and the Clarke County government, the community had to reconcile all of the existing laws and codes. And he said some of them were 30, 40, 50 years old, very out of date. It forced us to reconcile them and make them better. Now, I'm going to just touch very quickly on Columbus and Muskogee County. And the reason I want to talk about Columbus for a moment is, in my opinion, this is a community that I think this community is competing with for jobs. And the reason is the economic driver in Columbus, obviously, is Fort Benning. The economic driver here is primarily Fort Knox. And when this community wants to put together and really go after the new jobs that are out there, obviously the military, the defense sector is an important sector, and that's exactly what's happened in Columbus that they've focused on. So they merged back in 1971. They've been at this for quite a while. And the key selling point was the ability to collapse 44 previously existing departments into 9. That was a huge selling point to the local community at the time. And remember here, by comparison, you have 94 departments and commissions and boards. So you have almost twice the rate of entities here that you have there. This is a real quick picture. Back in the 70s, they didn't have PowerPoint, they didn't have all the fancy graphics, so they put together this little three-side folder. And on the far right side, they have a fairly simple drawing showing those 44 departments collapsing into 9. And I was told that was the key selling point down there. The results, it's a very streamlined government today. Everybody in that community is on the same page. Even today, they tell me citizens like receiving just one tax bill. The community focuses like a laser on Fort Benning, and there's an outstanding working partnership between the government, the military, and the chamber. They've really got their act together down there. So that's a quick snapshot of what we found here in terms of existing government, what unified government structures have to look like in Kentucky, and what some of the communities have done in terms of research and putting it together. I'm going to turn it back over to Judge Howard. He's going to close the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Luke. Why now? Why would we want to talk about unified government now? Okay, I've been asked that question a lot. There are some in our community that have been thinking about this for decades. Okay, I believe that now is a great opportunity for us to think about this. Other communities oftentimes are in crisis. They have their backs against the wall, and they're making decisions because they have to change. They have to do something, okay? We're not in that position. We're not in a crisis. I think most, if not all of us, would agree that things are going well. Things are good here in Hardin County. This, to me, then, is the best time to think about these things. While we can do it calmly, take all the time that we need to make sure we're thorough in what we think about and explore as far as unified government may be concerned. So I think now is a good time to think about this. And so Hardin County United, coming out of that vision committee, vision project that we did, we formed the Hardin County United Governance Subcommittee. I happen to be the chair of that committee. We have been meeting for the last 14 months or so on a pretty busy schedule, and also trying to collect information, trying to talk to various people about this. What we've done in the last 14 months is we've talked to the law enforcement community. We had the chiefs of police to come in and talk to us. We had the fire chiefs. Actually went to the Fire Chiefs Association meeting in Stevensburg one night in order to talk to them about this idea of unified government. And one of the things that I took away from both of those meetings was this. They're already doing these things because they have to do these things.